Brand new music from Nine Inch Nails, God Break Down the Door, from a new record called Bad Witch, streaming in full June 22nd, tour dates in September, all of that to be discussed right now in the company of Nine Inch Nails on Apple Music. God Break Down the Door. Lots of interesting things I want to talk about on this particular piece of music.
Yeah.
Your voice, but in the beginning, it's like you're in a different character in a different place. I wonder about that experience, in particular, vocally recording this song.
We find if we don't watch ourselves, we tend to try to get somewhere comfortable because it feels better. And from the sound of the drums to the kind of frantic drum beat to looking around the studio and seeing the untouched baritone, tenor, and alto saxes I have sitting there, they're there because they remind me that I can't play them as well as I used to be able to. You know, and for 20 years I've been saying I'm going to really get my technique back because it would be fun to do. And there they sit taunting me in the corner, you know. And we pulled them out and we just started around, and it kind of led with Atticus arranging. I was just kind of going, an hour performance, kind of turned into this thing that felt like we hadn't been in there before. And that started to reveal a whole different character of, the space changed, you know, and then we felt motivated. When it came time to sing, I was really just trying things out just to see. You know, I'd never had the courage to sing like that. I didn't know I could sing like that.
June 22nd for Bad Witch, the album God Break Down the Door, brand new music from Nine Inch Nails, who are with us right now on Apple Music.
Let me drop some cryptic information on you. The idea of this 3 EP thing was all to find truth in us figuring out who we are now and how we fit into the world. And the first EP, Not the Actual Events, was meant to be from a personal, angry, self-destructive reflection on that question. And defining how I feel in a world that feels stranger. Part of that's aging. Part of that's, I think the world is getting weirder. Finding your place in a world that looks different every day, a little bit changes. And reacting to that in the first EP through anger and self-destruction and setting a match to your life. The second EP, Add Violence, was meant to the same question, but looking for answers externally. Maybe it's because of this. And there's comfort in that. Maybe there's a reason that things feel kind of crazy, and it's not that I'm insane, that I'm in a situation that's insane. And with the third EP, which has grown into an LP, it was coming to one final look at that question from rejecting what EP number 2 says, that it wasn't an easy answer. It's not, we can't point at that as a formula, and that's what it was. And that the entire system has a much more bleak and pessimistic outlook. I don't want to say too much because it gives away kind of what the thing is, but it wasn't necessarily what we thought it was going to be when we started. I thought it was going to go more science fiction. And as we started down that path,
almost like this is what it might be. If it's not right,
we're even more clever than we thought we were before. We're going to really overwhelm you with cleverness and deep diving. And part of that felt like an arms race, and it also felt like a cop-out. And I wanted the answer to be...
Well, it feels like a concept then, almost like it's conceptual to some degree.
Absolutely. But we wanted to take it in a way that surprised us, that doesn't have the kind of satisfying... There's a nice, clean, and ultimately safe explanation for that. At our core, we are rotten. And that's kind of the theme of what this is about. But it's less about, there's a reason things are the way they are. It's just we are what we are.
So you guys are doing things differently on this tour. Why is that?
My relationship with music was I spent time with it. I thought deeply about it. I've listened to records thousands of times, you know, and it changed me and my appreciation of them. Now that's a different era. That's not how it is now. But there is something to be learned from that and remembered, and I think there's value to that we bring into some of the things we do today. Now we, are doing a tour that is a result of us thinking quite a long time about, do we want to tour? If we do, really pausing for a minute, saying, how would we like to tour? We've played arenas many times. We've played clubs, we've played amphitheaters, we've done a lot of festivals. And we thought about, hey, playing a smaller venue where it feels intimate is kind of exciting. And we're not going to tour that much. We are not going to endlessly tour the rest of our lives. That's pretty safe to say. We have families, we have other things that interest us. I've done it for most of my life, and it's not something I want to continually do. So if we are going to do it, let's try to make it something that plays into this idea that it's more than just a thing like all the other things. How can we make that a communal experience? I miss going to Tower Records at midnight to get a new album I've been looking forward to. And when I'm in the store, I see 100 other people that love the same thing I love. And they've got the same t-shirt I had on, and there's a community. I love walking into Amoeba now and seeing a room full of people. Everybody in there loves music. They're not there to buy a washing machine with some CDs in the front. They're there because they're into music. And that feels like a temple for the career and the passion that's driven my entire life. I relate to music. It gives me goosebumps to think about it. It's been defined me. It's helped me figure out who I am. I've been able to communicate and understand myself and the world through the lens of music. There's a place you can walk into. Other people seem like they might feel that way, So when we did this tour, we thought, let's try to, and this was largely inspired by, we went and saw LCD Sound System at the Palladium, who could have played the Forum, but chose to play a bunch of nights in a smaller room. And we went there and we left
It was always
talking about it for a week. We like LCD, but we were blown away by it. It just felt good, and it was exciting, and you could right there, and everybody was into it, and we thought we want to do something in the world of that where it feels like if you get in to see the show, you had a unique experience.
You're in.
You weren't at row a million, with the security guard bitching at you because you're not supposed to stand up on. So we just tried to play up the idea of this experience that isn't going to be around. And if you do go, great. And then we knew by saying, this is all referring to, we're saying if you want a ticket, just show up at the box office and hand somebody money and you'll get a ticket. And if you are the first person in line and you want to be in the front row, there's no bots taking those tickets. You're in line, get it. And I knew that would irritate some people, and it has irritated some people. And it may not work, and it may be something that we hadn't thought of, But the idea is that, and this is kind of abstract to explain, it's part of the show. Part of the experience is getting that ticket and being around people that are also there to get that ticket, and we're going to do some things we think will make that experience pretty good. We haven't spelled out yet, so that you might be pleasantly surprised. And it's not as convenient, and I get it if you live in bump wherever you can't. I've seen them all. I've seen all the big, I get it. But I grew up in fucking bump Egypt, and I didn't get to go to shows in New York City, and I missed out. I'm still pissed off I didn't see Kiss when I was 15, but I didn't get to go. Sorry about that. But this is just, we're going to try this. That's all. I think in a culture now where everything's on demand and everybody's entitled to everything, some things need to feel a little more special. All experiences are being reduced to an online interaction. There is a real world, and I'm not trying to be the Luddite that's anti-technology. Far from it, but there is there is a reasoning behind our madness here. We think will work, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. We won't do it next time, if there's a next time. But it is what we chose to do this time.
And in this case, you're going to be watching Jesus and Mary Chain.
Yeah, and we we were thinking about bands to tour with, and I've always loved Jesus and Mary Chain, and I've got some history with them. The first real tour we ever played as Nine Inch Nails, we opened for them. It was a good place in my heart of the good old days when life was simpler. They were cool. I loved Jesus and Mary Chain, always have. A few years before that, when Psycho Candy was out, they played the Fantasy Theater in Cleveland. And we were rehearsing in the Fantasy upstairs. There's a nightclub. And, my manager at the time's girlfriend ran the club, and that's where we would rehearse and kind of hang out. The night of the Mary Chain show, and this is where they were only guaranteed to play 8 minutes. If you remember way back there was a frantic, they were about to go on. We were upstairs just finishing rehearsal in the closed nightclub, and Michelle, the owner, quick, emergency. Do you guys have a drumstick? They only brought 2 and they've lost 1 and they're not going on if they can't find one. We did have a drumstick, so we saved the show.
Have you ever told that story?
Maybe I have. They also played the longest they'd ever played on that tour, which was, I think, 12 minutes.